Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I'm at such a distance. What we're going to try and do at the next meetings is to have them in the meeting rooms, because it's a smaller committee. This seems a bit a bit distant there, so we're going to try and set up so we can have them in the meeting room. So this is just the one on. We are live now, so I'll just make the normal announcements that this is the Civic Affairs Committee meeting taking place at 5:30 p.m. on the 15th of May 2023. If I can just indulge on everyone just to introduce themselves, and that will save me doing that, and it sounds so much better. So if we want to go from Naomi, please. Thank you.
Councillor Naomi Bennett, Abbey Ward.
Councillor Olaf Haug from Trumpington.
Councillor Tim Bick, Market Ward. I'm not a member of the committee, but here as alternate and group leader reference point if needed.
Katie Thornber, Petersfield Ward.
Councillor Sam Carling from West Chesterton Ward.
Councillor Mike Davey, Petersfield.
Thank you very much. We have apologies from the Council's independent person, Rob Bennett. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but just to remind members that laptops and so forth can be seen or may well be seen. So just be cautious to what you have on your screen. That would be great. We'll go straight to the agenda, if we may. So I will ask for any declarations of interest, which I'm sure members here will know that if those declarations of interest occur to you later on during the meeting, there is no problem with you declaring them then. So any declaration of interest right at this moment? Thank you so much. Minutes of the last meeting, pages 3 to 8. Is everybody satisfied that those are a correct record of that meeting, and are there any matters arising from that? Thank you very much. In that case, I'll sign them whenever we're ready. Public questions. We have no public questions. There are no public within the meeting room, so we'll move on to agenda item 5, which is committee appointments and constitutional changes for annual council. That is on page 9 to 16 of your agenda. Recommendations are on page 9, and if I can ask Gary to introduce this.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. So this report was written the day of the local authority elections, and an update paper has been circulated this afternoon to take into account the results of those elections, and also to take into account the resignation of former Councillor Collis that the Chief Executive received this morning. We have had a pre-meeting to go through the numbers on the various committees, and you will see in front of you the result of those deliberations. And may I draw your attention to a incorrect committee size. Planning committee should read 9, not 8, and apologies for that, but that does take into account the conversations that we've had with group leaders on committee sizes. So if the committee is happy with those numbers, we will recommend those to the council annual meeting on the 25th of May. Who is appointed to those committees are a matter for the groups themselves. It is for the council to agree the size of those committees. So that deals with little 1 of the recommendation. Nominations for chairs and vice chairs are included in the update report towards the bottom of page 3 and page 4. Constitutional changes required are set out in 3.6. So this is just to draw to members' attention that we aim to review the governance arrangements during the coming municipal year. There is a governance reference group, which has been nominated to by groups, which will meet informally next month with a view to submitting terms of reference to this committee at its 5th of July meeting for you to be happy with those terms of reference. And then the work of that reference group will commence in gusto. Little 4, sorry, not little 4. Oh, and I've covered little 4 with little 3, apologies. Little 5, honorary councillors. So we have in the update report a list of proposed former councillors of the City Council: Rod Cantrell, Lewis Herbert, George Pippas, Amanda Taylor and Damien Tunnicliffe, all of whom will have been councillors for 10 years or more, or 8 years if they had been a mayor. And lastly, little 6, there are conversations taking place between the City and County Council to re-establish a joint area committee, and it's hoped that something will be established before the summer. Those conversations are taking place at the moment between officers and members, Chair. I think that's all I need to say on this report. Thanks.
Thanks, Gary. Are there any questions on this report? None whatsoever? Everybody happy with what we have? Okay, Tim, please.
I just wondered whether if there are going to be any changes to executive portfolios, which I think generally require amendments to the Constitution to be properly enforced. When will those constitutional amendments be happening, if they're not on the agenda today?
Did you want to, not as far as I was aware, but I'll let the leader respond to that.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. We will be reviewing, following our AGM, reviewing the portfolios and their remits. I think, whilst you can assume that planning, finance and the housing remits will remain identical, there may be some changes around some of the other portfolios, but we need to meet to discuss what those should be. And I'll undertake to notify you as soon as we have those, Councillor Beck, and that then will obviously, I will then notify Gary Clift accordingly so we can move forward. But that will be done as soon as we can meet, basically. But thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, does that mean that the Constitution, any constitutional amendments that would be required would be forthcoming at the next council meeting, or does that mean it would be at a future council meeting?
I would need to confirm the timings with Gary as to when we actually go ahead, so it's probably more a question for Gary than for me in terms of the formalities, Councillor.
What's happened with changes to that part of the Constitution, because it's the leader's responsibility to make changes to those portfolios, and that's within the gift of the leader. So that is something that we will be notified of, and those changes will just be incorporated. It's not like other constitutional changes which come to this committee and then go to the council. Within portfolios, it's very much within the gift of the leader how those portfolios are changed. The only thing, I think, members, there's a member interest, obviously, aspect to it. There's also which scrutiny committees will be scrutinising those portfolios, and so obviously we'll be working with you to make sure that that's clear before the cycle starts. So, for example, the forward plan is going to be published next Monday. That will be published as the executive as we know at the moment, and then obviously we might have to republish the forward plan with the changed portfolios so that we all know, which scrutiny committee the various executive members are going to be taking decisions at.
Are there any other questions? Going once, going twice? Thank you, sir. In that case, then, there leaves us just with voting on the papers before you. All those in favour?
That's unanimous in favour.
Thank you so much. And I do believe that completes the business for this meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.